Grand Tour game is an odd thing. It seems like an attempt to cash in on a relatively lucrative program available on Amazon Prime, while also testing out the public appeal of simple, inexpensive games based around Amazon properties and developed by their own newly opened Amazon Game Studios. This is the first game Amazon Game Studios has developed for mainstream consoles. Previous games have predominantly been released for the Amazon App Store. At £11.99, the Grand Tour game is cheaper than I expected, but then again, I honestly didn't know what to expect from this game. Very little of it had been shown publicly, other than a few short clips published in the build-up to the game's release, whilst also promoting the new season of the Grand Tour. In that way, the game can easily be seen as a publicity stunt to raise awareness and excitement for a new season of a show that has been absent for over a year now. A show that, in my opinion, while entertaining, has been missing some of the magic that made Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond and James May so captivating and entertaining on Top Gear for many years. Perhaps the shift to special episodes in the next season rather than full seasons will be a positive for the show, and something I advocated it being back when the show was first announced. The format of the game is surprising in its own right. The single player aims to capture moments from the show and allows you to play through them as if it was you behind one of the wheels with the other presenters. The thing is, these moments are not really moments. The single player is formulated into episodes. To be precise, at launch there is one episode from each of the first two seasons of the Grand Tour, with the first episode of Season 3 coming upon Season 3's release. You play through each driving scene of that particular episode, interspersed with the actual footage from the show as the next scene loads. In essence, it's an interactive episode of the Grand Tour. You get all the chat and talk from the presenters, but as soon as it comes to car action, in you step. Some moments were more enjoyable than others, and the addition of gold, silver and bronze objectives helped to add some direction and motivation to what you were doing. However, the gameplay is ropey at best, but it does still put a smile on my face. At its core, it's an arcade racer, a racing game that does not worry about physics or realism, but reminds me of older games, for example Ridge Racer on the PlayStation 1 or 2, where you essentially keep the acceleration pressed throughout the whole race while only tapping the brake to help you drift through a turn, something that is very much a part of the Grand Tour game. A few locations add some gentle variety, but the scenery leaves much to be desired as a gaming experience. The multiplayer allows you to select any vehicle from the single player, plus a few extras, and race against the computer or other people. You can choose locations from the show, including the Grand Tour track known as the Ebola Drome. In these times the poor controls show, and when coming to sharper, slower corners, a whole heap of problems tend to occur. The key for this game is that each episode of Season 3 will reportedly have its own tie-in episode. How much gameplay is in each of these awaits to be seen. Based on episodes available now, you will take between 40 and 60 minutes to complete an episode. With the first episode of Season 3 releasing, we have been given a better glimpse at the true content of the game. The environments created from the show actually surprised me in authenticity, even if graphically they were pretty poor. The old factory race circuit in particular felt very much like the place I had seen only an hour or so earlier when I watched the episode. Worryingly, a section involving a McLaren had to be removed from the game completely and replaced with a similar event from back in Season 2, again involving a McLaren.
Hello fellow driving enthusiasts, James here. Owing to the unique way we make video games, we are sadly unable to have the McLaren Senna in this episode for now. Apologies for that. As a sort of consolation prize, we're going to go back and look at Hammond driving the equally fantastic McLaren 720S from Season 2. It's a cracker, apart from the Hammond bit.
The McLaren Senna featured in the Grand Tour Season 3, Episode 1, was not allowed to feature in the game. How many more times across the 13-episode season will that happen? On the whole, the first episode of Season 3 was more of what I had experienced in the other episodes of the game, and that's fine. The Columbia Special, while 2 episodes on Prime Video, is sensibly blended together on the game. I was concerned how the more exploratory content of the show would translate to the game, And the answer is, it doesn't really. Where possible, existing game modes have been reused, such as the rev building used for drag racing, and the standard driving at full pelt. One new addition is a drive around a field mode that tasks you to drive to 5 points on a map as quickly as possible while looking for an object, in this case an animal, which isn't on the screen anyway. Oh, and the not to mention odd decision to include photo taking as a mechanic, only on an already still image and again against the clock. The two new tracks get used in both forward and reverse formats, with the Volcano one really grinding my gears. It features tighter track design, and even a wheel out of this brings up a "you crashed" screen, and it restarts you on the track. While this didn't cost me much time, it was infuriating, as more often than not you could see that my car had recovered and was continuing along the track just fine, only to be brought back by that screen. The episode was fun, but my lingering question of how this part of the show would translate has been answered. It reminds me of when I was in school and used an online translation site to do my French homework. It has elements of what it wants to be, but ultimately it's disjointed and doesn't mesh correctly. The Grand Tour game is best when driving at high speed in a daft scenario, listening to the presenters talk using dialogue directly lifted from the show. When playing the game for longer periods of time, the realisation of the low production value starts to show the game's many cracks. It seems like a promotional experiment, and a game where the developers should have stuck with what they know. It feels like a mobile game, but on a console, and that is not a good thing. As a mobile game, it would have been fine, but on console, it never really finds its traction, feeling much more like an interactive episode and a way to re-watch the show after most likely already watching it. The Grand Tour game probably should have stayed in part. While there are some fun elements to enjoy, the whole experience is generally shallow and unfulfilling. If I had to give this game a score right now, I'd score it a 5 out of 10. Thank you very much for listening. This is Tom Cotton talking from the Golden Rant. Thank you. If you have any thoughts on the Grand Tour game, please let me know in the comments. Tweet at the Golden Rant. Come find us on Facebook. Drop me a comment on the website. Thanks for listening. I hope you tune back in soon.